Flyweight bout here in the women's division. Tereza Bleda coming in at minus 215 against Gabriella Fernandes coming in at plus 215. Over under 2.5 rounds. Minus 160 for the over, plus 160 for the under. 4-1 in their last 5 for both ladies. The loss to Jasdavicius for Gabriella Fernandes in her debut ages pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. And so does Tereza Bleda's loss in her debut to Natalia Silva. So both ladies facing some really tough competition in their debuts. But the matchup doesn't look good for Gabriella Fernandes as far as that's why I like the line is the way it is, because I think on the feet, Fernandes probably going to have the advantage there. But the takedowns, like we just saw what Jasmine did to her in 3 rounds. Was it 11 or 12 minutes of ground control time? Something like
bad.
That. Yeah, something crazy. She just could not get up from her back. And then Tereza Bleda is she's got a number of minutes of ground control time. I mean, she had 5 minutes of ground control time against Natalia Silva, who's like pretty solid on the ground. And then 11 minutes of ground control time on her Contender Series fight. So the takedowns are definitely going to be there for her. And if she gets those, she probably cruises to a win. But if she doesn't, Fernandes probably pretty live. I mean, women's MMA. We just saw it this week. We just saw Jasmine come in as a plus 270 underdog in cash. I don't really like banking on women's takedowns. And in this spot, I think Bleda should go in there and win, but I don't like banking on that. We've seen it time and time again. Like, I just can't really get behind the big women's chalk all the time. Burned me last week with Miranda Maverick, even though it didn't really burn me that bad. But yeah, Bleda probably wins, but I'm probably not touching it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she probably wins as well. But man, just can't get caught. We saw her get caught once, but I think Silva and Fernandes are, a mile apart in skill level. But yeah, for Fernandes too, that loss to Jasdavicius just ages phenomenally, because Jasmine Jasdavicius in her last fight last weekend looked phenomenal and looked like she could make some noise in that division for sure. Beating Miranda Maverick like that, who is young, up and coming, has some good wins on her record, who's tough to beat, and she dominated her as a big underdog. So, yeah, nothing to hang your head about with that loss. I just think Bleda, though, she knows the blueprint to beat Gabriella Fernandes. She saw it with Jasmine Jasdavicius here. So if she gets her on the ground, I think she's going to control her, possibly find a submission, landing some ground and pound. I mean, she's got finishes on top of girls like that, landing ground and pound. She's got finishes by submission from the top. So if it goes to the ground, I think it could be a quick night for Fernandes. But if it stays on the feet, it obviously gets really interesting. I honestly, at plus money, kind of have flirted with the idea of taking the under 2.5 here. We've seen both girls in action before. I mean, Bleda coming off of a knockout loss, but also has a decent amount of finishes on her record too. Fernandes doesn't have as many finishes. She does have a couple of submissions and knockout. So yeah, man, I don't know. For some reason, something's telling me that Bleda is just going to take her down, find that sub, and make it look pretty easy. And if that happens, man, that plus money under 2.5 looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I will say for Bleda, I mean, she's 21 years old. And if you look at her amateur results, she had a win when she was 18 years old to the girl Lucy Pudilova in an exhibition bout in the amateurs. That was back in 2020. And then, I mean, she's been fighting since she's like 15. So, I mean, she's been around. She's young. She's probably getting better every day. And she's been around since she's 15. So, I mean, probably a pretty bright future for her. But at the same time, it's like Natalia Silva was doing some bad things to her on the feet. And Fernandes could definitely expose her on the feet there too. But for the sake of the show, I'll take Bleda, because if she gets the takedowns, it's not looking good.